If,
Tadao, is that you?
if there are no questions, I'd like to ask Konsuchin one question,
Why don't you go ahead? I have one and I can do it later.
which I asked her many times, and I do not understand her answer. My question is about karma. And Konsuchin often says that there is no Tadao in this world. No Tadao, no Tadao. But I'd like to know how Tadao is related with its past. I do not understand that relation.
Is it your question?
Yes, it's
Okay.
my question.
What about Dhamma? What does it mean? Tadao?
Yes.
Or just a reality which is conditioned to arise differently at a time. And then whatever arises falls away instantly. It's that Tadao.
No,
Or
no.
that's why it has to be so very true that it has to be kept in mind all the time. We don't know that all which appears now are different Dhamma, but we take it for something like Tadao and Sujin and so on, flower and bed and so on. But actually, without Dhamma arising, can there be such a thing that we think that it's something there? Nothing. So we have to understand the absolute truth, but actually what is there. It cannot be anyone or anything, but we just keep on saying these words when there is no understanding of the truth of just the reality, only one at a time, which is now appearing, to really understand that it cannot be taken for anything at all. For example, what is seen is seeing Sadao, or is that which is in the leg and arms, or what is the absolute truth, which is not known at all. If there's no hearing of the true word about what is now appearing. So study Dhamma means there must be confidence of the truth that Dhamma is that which is real and no one can make it arise, but it's there by conditions, each different, by different conditions. So each moment there cannot be any person or anything at all.
Yes.
That's why we heard a lot about different words like Kama and Akusala and Kusala and Chitta and Rupa, but they are all here now, unknown, as it's not anything at all. Only what is there arising and falling away appears as so very permanent by the succession of the arising and falling away, condition the shape and form of different color, which is now, it seems like each appears instantly together all the time. But actually, what about just one dot or one just a moment of experiencing that which cannot be anything at all? If this is not known in the very beginning, there must be the I listening. I think about this and I think about that all the time, because the reality which experiences is conditioned to arise, to see, and then to think, and then to whatever is there in a day are only the experiencing from moment to moment, which arise and falls away by conditions. Otherwise, we do not study Dhamma. We study the name, the word, the idea that we used to think that I think, she thinks, and so on. See, but actually, even this moment, what is it? It's gone completely. Sound is gone. Everything is gone. Unknowingly, until hearing the words about what appears now and begin to understand the truth little by little, not enough at all, because so much to learn about no one and no self, because it's very deeply accumulated, so deep, so subtle, that just a moment of hearing and considering just one word is not enough to understand, because at moment of saying, after that 3 moments are kusla, hearing and so on. See, so how can they be just clear understanding of that which is not self, but the more considering about the truth? Right now it's there. Ignorance is there, not me, not I, but not understanding the truth is so real. It cannot understand until hearing the words about the truth of what is there and begin to learn to understand the truth. No one there thinking about the word which is heard is Dhamma gone all the time. Otherwise, it's not studying Dhamma at all. So we just think of words about this and that, like Kamma and Chitta and Rupa, just about the words. But the truth is there, the experiencing, arising and falling away successfully all the time. See, succeedingly all the time.
Yeah.
Who knows? But from his enlightenment, remember, enlightenment, the truth is not as it appears, because they are separated one at a moment, only that differently. Only once in samsara and never to be there, to be known at all. No one. Otherwise, there must be the idea of I learn, I think, the other person think, they think, but actually all are dhammas. This
Okay.
is the pariyatti. So very skillful in understanding the truth of the word, not just hearing and thinking that I understand. No one at all. From intellectual understanding, it can lead to more understanding. It can condition moment of understanding that which is now appearing. For example, hardness is now appearing. Exactly the same, never change. It depends on understanding. It depends on awareness with understanding, or just no thought about it. Just pass on all the time in the day. No understanding. And that is not self, it is avijja, that which does not understand the truth. So we learn to understand the truth of reality, no matter what we are talking about, like Dhamma, what is the truth of the reality which we take for Dhamma?
Yeah, yeah. So there will be Chuti and Patisanti, but it's a succession of realities.
Certainly, in samsara. So, what is the end of samsara? Because no one can stop the arising and falling away from the other moment to this moment and on and on. No end, endlessly, because of ignorance. Don't know the condition for that which arises. So what is meant by the end of samsara, the end of the arising and falling away of all dhammas, no one at all. How can it end? Possible? If there's no understanding, it's impossible.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does it mean? Even just the word that we used to hearing it again and again and again. But what is the reality of it? Each word, for example, samsara, now, each moment is samsara, rising and falling away. And what is meant by the end of samsara? See, the truth is there, just to think about it wisely, with understanding, little by little, as no one. This is the point of studying or listening to the Dhammas, the Buddha's word, to understand the truth, the absolute truth of everything in life, which is there to study, to be studied, to be learned. So each word should be studied to understand the truth that what is it when it's not self, it's not anything at all. If there is no understanding, it's something all the time
Yes.
because of ignorance.
Yeah.
Avijja is there, not understand the truth of that which now appears as different colors arising and falling away so very rapidly that no one can understand the truth of it, that it's not there anymore. But from hearing the words of the truth, right understanding develops little by little to know what is true, what is not true.
Okay, I think I understood the meaning of karma for the first time. Now it's very clear. It's just a
Dhamma?
succession of dhammas, nothing else.
Yes.
Mm.
In the beginning, I thought that you asked about Dhamma, but you think about Dhamma.
Mm.
So everything which is real,
Mm.
you use the word Dhamma.
Mm.
Are you asking about karma, Tadao?
Yeah, asking about karma, but it's
Karma.
related with realities.
Yes, and when you say that karma is the cessation of reality, what do you mean by that?
Our lives are cessation of realities, nothing but cessation of, not cessation, succession of realities.
This is talking about dhammas. So dhammas arise and fall all the time. So this is what is meant by the succession of dhammas, one reality arising and falling after another. But what is karma? Because that's your question. What is karma? You can't say that karma is just the succession of realities.
Karma is, I can say, force which produce these realities, produce the succession of these realities.
What is karma? What is the reality of karma?
Good karmas and bad karmas.
But what is the dhamma? What dhamma is karma?
Dhammas means realities, and without karma, these dhammas won't arise.
Which realities won't arise?
All these realities.
So which reality is karma and which realities are conditioned by karma? So first of all, which reality, which Paramattha Dhamma is karma?
Chetana.
Chaitana. And which realities are conditioned by Chaitana?
Uvipaka.
Or Vipaka, when it is karma, that is when it is Chaitana of a strength that has produced a result.
Yeah.
Then Vipaka is conditioned by karma. And what else is conditioned by karma, by Chaitana?
So basically, these are 10 akusala and kusala kamapata.
So the Vipaka is the result of the Kamapata, when the karma is strong enough. And what other realities are conditioned by karma, by Chaitana?
Oh, for instance, pasada rupas.
Right? So certain kamaja rupas, like the pasada rupas, yes, are conditioned by karma. So some rupas are conditioned by karma. And what else is conditioned by Chaitana?
I cannot think of.
So that's why we have to consider exactly what karma is and what it conditions. So even at this moment, at every moment in life, Chaitana conditions the other Chaitasikas, and the Chitta it arises together with by Sahajata Pachya, because they condition each other. But at this moment of seeing or hearing, Chaitana conditions the other dhammas, but it doesn't bring any result because it's vipaka. So Chaitana arises of every citta, conditioning the other dhammas it arises together with, but only when it arises with kusala or akusala cittas and is of sufficient strength can it bring results later. But I think the point is that Jan was saying is to understand that it's another dhamma. These are all dhammas rising and falling away. But I think she heard you were asking about dhammas at the beginning rather than karma, so there was a little misunderstanding.
No. She's talking about karma. And we think karma or lives in this samsara in terms of person, in terms of beings. And she's saying that is a wrong understanding.
Right, because there are only different dhammas.
We have nothing but realities.
Right.
Some of these realities are chuti and patisanti. So it's a succession of citta, cetasika, rupa. But occasionally, chuti and patisanti are inserted in the series of these citta, cetasika, and rupa.
So at every moment in life, there is citta arising and falling away, succeeding the citta that has arisen before. And chuti is just one citta at the end of life, followed by patisandhi. So,
but we think that we die and we are reborn, but that is a wrong idea. Nobody,
just like we think we see now, or we hear now, or we think now.
It's just one moment of chuti and another moment of patisanti. That's it. And it's a series of, it's a succession of citta, cetasika, rupa, nothing else.
Just like now, just one citta arising and dying and conditioning the next one. So birth and death at each moment.
But we think everything we think that death and rebirth in terms of person, being. And that's the wrong idea.
And in fact, death, chuti citta, is just another moment of life.
Yes. Just one moment.
Just another moment in samsara. Rising and gone, never to arise again. Just like the citta now, just like any citta. Rising and falling away instantly. No one here now, and no one here then or before either.
So no being who dies, just an identity in that lifetime is gone forever, and another identity follows.
So we can say that there is a succession, but there is no succession of beings.
The succession.
But this is what I've understood for the first time. I somehow intellectually had the idea that it's nothing but citta, cetasika, rupa. But I never applied that knowledge to my own death and rebirth. I always thought that there are some kind of beings behind.
So Kuntadao, if there is no understanding of just one word clearly, like less clinging to the idea of, because it's accumulated so very deeply. That's why no matter how much we learn about the word, but no understanding of the reality. That's why we come back to understand the first word that we heard, Dhamma, in reality so clear that Dhamma cannot be taken for anything as we usually think about flowers and people and bed and all. But the truth is there. Nobody knows at all until the enlightenment of the Buddha. And after that, he said, all Dhammas are so very subtle and very deep, very difficult to understand or to reach, to attain. And we have to keep on mind. That's so true. Each word is so deep because some people listen for Dhamma 40 years alone. It's constant at all. And when someone talk about Dhamma, no understanding about that. It's not he or she who has listened to that Dhamma for quite a long time. That's why they can be more considering about the truth, the absolute truth, to go down, to understand what is there deeply. It's not self, but it's so deep that it needs not just few words, but each word should be studied one by one. That's why when there is clear understanding about Dhamma, and then we can talk about karma, not as I or my karma, my deed, my result, but as no one there at all. What we are talking about is not anyone at all. They are absolute reality. No one can stop its arising because there are conditions for whatever arises differently at a time, from moment to moment. This is the beginning to let go the idea of self from hearing and considering until it brings to more understanding. When there are conditions from hearing enough, understanding enough to condition higher, a little higher understanding, that actually we are talking about that which is now appearing. As we used about to talk about hardness, see, we used to say that it's solidity, it's conditioned, it's hard, it cannot be heat or cold, but that is only the words, not understanding hardness at moment when it's there, not at moment of touching. That's why what we learned is now to understand little by little until it conditions the moment of right understanding with awareness of that reality instantly by conditions to more to have more confidence on anatta, which means no and no self and no thing at all. Only at moment of touching and then gone. And actually from the enlightenment, from his teachings, we know that even at moment when it appears, it arises in front of me so very rapidly. And what can be Pativeta or direct experience, the Vipassana, is that very moment of touching as usual. But usual, there's no understanding. And a little understanding develops, little by little. So out about the different degrees of understanding, intellectual understanding, and direct understanding. See, little by little, with no one. So it's wrong to try to do something in order to have it arise. Impossible. That's the wrong way, and it will accumulate on and on. Your next life or whatever, no understanding of that which is now appearing. So the point is to understand what is now appears as it is with understanding little by little. And there can be panya at that moment to know whether it is what level of understanding. For example, touching now, what level of understanding? We can say heart, see, I. Experiences heart is there deeply. Even no word about I know that it's hard, but no I. The experiencing a reality which arises to experience. It cannot see, it cannot, but it touches. It arises just to touch another kind of reality, which we use the word. Have to understand about the difference between that and experience. The if is the citta, but the other reality is there as well. as conditioned. And we learn about Cetasika by words. And what about now? The feeling, we use the word Cetasika, but it's different from that which experiences only, no feeling, just experience. But the other reality arises with it. Sanya, marks, and remember. See, each moment we learn to let go the idea of at any moment, which hasn't been learned before. No one remember that actually, but it's quite very deeply rooted, the idea. That's why the understanding has to go stage by stage from intellectual understanding without the clear and skillful of very wise what is heard. It cannot bring about more understanding. Just hearing and then thinking, hearing and then thinking and remembering. But the truth is that even the word Dhamma has to be directly experienced of the difference of each Dhamma. No word, but we learned before. And at that moment, no word to care that, oh, it's feeling, oh, it's that and that. Because the characteristic of that appears to panya, not as before, which there is no panya, and there is ignorance. So the end of samsara is the end of ignorance.
Yeah.
So then we can go on to understand what is meant by kamma, what is meant by indriya, what is meant by kanda, little by little, with the understanding that we are talking about absolute realities, no one at all.
Yeah,
This is the basic, the foundation of understanding the truth.
Yes.
And I think that now when there is the idea of someone now, someone that sees, someone that hears, then of course there will be the idea that someone dies at the end of this life and someone is reborn. But the more understanding there is of Dhamma now, Dhammas which arise and fall away instantly, no one there at all at this moment, the more it's apparent that it has to have been like that last week, last year, last lifetime, and it will be like that next moment at the end of life, on and on. So it all comes back to the understanding of Dhammas at this moment. Understand what is meant by death and rebirth.
So it's easy to repeat that our lives are just chitta, cetasika, and rupa. But that idea won't sink deeply into our so-called personality. We somehow cling to ourselves. And that's the reason why we do not understand what karma is, what vipaka is. Can we say that?
That's the way we talk about a reality which cling. We use the term lopa, see, but the idea, the understanding of that, which used to take things, which used to take reality for things, see, it's lopa, see, begin to see what is that, because everyone knows about, I like this, I don't like that, but do not understand that it's no one, it's only a reality, different from the moment when it's anger and so on. We are used to the characteristic which are reality, but no understanding of that at all, as not me, no one. That's why we learn to understand what is meant by Dhamma until we are talking about Dhamma. And what is there? Thinking and remembering and life or this life. Everything in life are dhammas.
And without understanding dhammas, it's impossible to understand karma, because people talk about karma. Oh, this happened because of karma, or
Yes.
oh, I'm so unlucky to be ill or have COVID because of karma or something. But it's still all the story about I doing karma, and I receiving the results of karma,
Yes.
and my birth as a result of karma. It's not actually any understanding of karma as Dhamma, as the reality.
Yeah.
So it's like with any other topic, without understanding Dhamma right now, at this moment, impossible to understand karma or paticca samuppada or anything else.
Yeah.
So, if I just make a quick comment, Sarah, people listening on, Sarah, may be misunderstanding what you're saying. When you say the word karma, that's sensuality, K, long A. I believe the word you're referring to is kamma.
I don't think there's any misunderstanding.
But we generally accept outside of Theravada, generally it's karma. But I think
Please say it again, Jonathan.
I'm saying the correct Pali pronunciation is, as you say, with a short A. But because of the
Okay, keep going.
But
Please
because of how it is generally known among the general public, not just within Theravada, is as karma.
Yeah, that's a different word again. That's a different
It's a
word
different
again.
word if you're just talking Pali, but because of the way it's pronounced by others, it is also understood as to be referring to karma. Anyway, that's a technical.
Yes, I know you've said the double. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just thinking that because Sarah made a point at the beginning that Ajahn might have misunderstood. I mean, I thought her answer was absolutely stunningly brilliant, and I really appreciate Tadao's question. And she made a point about Dhamma or Kamma or whatever point she was making. But I thought people listening on could easily misunderstand when she says karma, referring to sensuality, karma, which is very different from kamma. Ajahn always says kamma. She always makes it very clear for us to understand. That's just the point I'm making.
Yeah, okay. That's fair enough.
Thanks. I don't think there was any misunderstanding but it's good to have it pointed out anyway.
Tadao, are you having more questions on this?
No.
I have a question. This week, Sarah and I got to discussing on DSG. I can't remember exactly what we were discussing, but it came up that something arising. I guess let me go right to a question. The interrelationship between karma, as in gamma, and natural decisive support gamma condition, natural decisive support condition, and I guess asaya nusaya. I'm realizing now, having read a bit more, Sarah, since you last sent your answer, that I was. Ooh, I'm getting a big echo here. Are you hearing echoes? John, were you about to speak?
I hear you. What's the point? Now, shall we use Pali term so that
No,
we can understand what we are
I'm
talking
not
about?
worried about whether it's Pali, I'm talking about Dhamma, the Cetasika. Sorry, Cetana Cetasika.
Cetana. Cetana is
Yeah, and Cetana is Dhamma. And I had, I think, mistakenly thought that Vipaka was the result of Gammapata, complete deeds, completed akusala deeds. And yet there are also accumulations. And I think I'm just beginning to understand that when the accumulations accumulate to a certain point, that they can actually, by both gamma pachaya and natural decisive support condition, they can also condition moments of vipaka. I guess I'd better start by saying, is that correct?
okay. Are you talking about Pachaya?
Yes.
But if there is no understanding of each reality clear, it's impossible to understand Pachaya. That's why we learn to understand reality, that whatever is there arises by conditions, right?
Yes.
But we don't know yet what is there exactly one by one. For example, when we talk about citta, it's that which is the chief of experiencing citta. And the cetasikas, the realities which can experience, but it's not the chief of experience, the characteristic of the object. But it has its own characteristic at moment of experiencing that object. So there are altogether 52 cetasikas. Cetana is one cetasika. What is it? It has to be clear before we talk about the vipaka or the karma and on. Then with the understanding of realities that they are so quite different. Even it's the same, like what we call cetana. What is it? Who knows that at this moment there is cetana as well? No one knows, because there are different cetana too. Cetana which is kusala, cetana which is vipaka, cetana which is kiriya, and cetana which is kusala. See, that's why we learn little by little, clearer and clearer, to really understand what we are talking about. Like when we are talking about cetana, it's a reality. No one knows, but there is intention to do, to go, to eat at that moment. There is attachment of clinging to. So many cetasika at that very moment, each different one. So that's why we learn to understand that there's no self, because that is this or it is that, which can be taken for self because it's conditioned or in the following. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up just a little bit.
I see. But now we begin to understand cetana, cetasika, that is not citta, and it's the unknown. Even it performs its function like wanting to do this. See, at that moment, there is cetana as well and lopa as well.
Yes.
But lopa cannot be cetana. And at that moment, cetana is akusala. See? And when we learn more at this moment of seeing, there is cetana. It rises with because, but it is that which is conditioned by karma to arise and perform the function of one. So
Excuse me, Sundara, maybe you could mute your mic.
Okay, just a moment.
I think we can go ahead, Ajahn.
Okay, now, so that's why we need to talk about one reality at a time to really understand what is there that intend to do this. It's not self, so it's a cetasika, which is not clinging, see, lopa, arising, just wanting that, and the cetana coordinate the other cetasika to perform its function. When it is vipaka, like seeing, it's conditioned by the same karma, which condition other cetasika and citta to experience that object. See, no one there at all. And it's not the nanakanika karma, which can condition results after it has gone. But the characteristic, which is karma, can condition its result. And we have to know what is the result. See, that's why it's better just to learn little by little, because it's now here. Seeing is conditioned by what? See, but before all, there can be the understanding of realities are conditioned. See, paccaya. And when they arise together, they cannot arise one after the other. They have to arise by condition karma, to condition the moment of seeing only that which is experienced now, not the other object. Not like we would not like what we want to experience, but it is according to karma to condition such moment of seeing only this or only that when time comes. And that is karma paccaya, see, intention to do good deeds or wholesome deeds or unwholesome deeds. Completely done, see. But it cannot produce result instantly. It has to produce result later. Nanakanika, different moments from moment when it arises. That's why just whatever appears in life, but not know it as not self. That's why we learn to understand not self has to be now, no one at all. Who sees, who thinks. I just learned the word about karma, but before that, it has to be cetasika, different from other cetasika. That's why when we intend to do anything with attachment or with wholesome giving, for example, see, different cetana, different cetasikas arising with cetana. So just learn that when it is the reality which can experience us, it has its own function, but whatever arises has to arise together. And that is one condition, sahachata. See, but we don't name it or call it, whether it is Upanisya Paccaya or whether it is sahachata or whether it is anyamanya. We learn about the Paccaya later after understanding the truth that what is there is not self, it's conditioned by what way, what of Paccaya. Later, see, but first to understand. And we use the term to understand, like arise together. And then later we call, that is one paccaya. It cannot arise one after the other. It has to arise together. Because by way of sahachata paccaya, without this, that cannot arise. See? Little by little, giving the name lately. Not at once, but the understanding is there that nothing can arise without conditions at all. And there are so many different conditions too.
Yeah.
So now, what would you like to talk about? Dhamma, paccaya, cetana, cetasika. To know that all dhammas can be classified by way of chati. One is kusala, akusala, which are the causes, and the vipaka, the result conditioned by karma, and kiriya, it
Mhm.
is not kusala, akusala, and vipaka. When we learn later why and what, even now it's there, unknown, because the idea of self with ignorance is always there. That's why learning Dhamma is like trying to open up that which is hidden.
Mm.
And your question was also about the accumulation, like the accumulation of karma. So just like the lobha now accumulates, and when it's strong enough, it leads to deeds and speech. And in the same way, the cetana, when it arises from kusala and akusala citas, it accumulates. And when it's strong enough, it motivates speech and deeds, which can bring results later. And when it's brought results, that's when it's Nana Kanika Kama Pachya, which Ajahn mentioned. But it's not just because of one moment of strong attachment. That cetana has to have been accumulated. So the karma can only bring results by way of accumulation, accumulated tendencies, pakatu upanisya pachya. So without natural decisive support condition, karma can't bring any result at any time. And even at birth, all the karmas that have been accumulated are there ready to bring results in the lifetime. So the vipaka has to have been conditioned by the karma pachya, but it also has to have been brought about by the accumulated tendencies as well, as to why this vipaka arises at this moment and not another one.
So is that the, so say lopa accumulates as a latent tendency, in this case anusaya, and when there are conditions, it arise as a it's gone. I don't know what it was. So when there are accumulations of lopa, and when there are conditions, not the anusaya, but the anusaya will condition lopa, one of the conditions for lopa to arise, and there's jetana with it, obviously, and if the jetana is strong enough, it will bring about its results as vipaka through Nana Kanika Gama condition. It will bring about its results as vipaka.
So if there wasn't tendency, if there wasn't the latent tendency, the asya, as in asya and osya, if that asya wasn't there wasn't the accumulated tendency, then that cetana could not arise at this moment, the cetana with lobha that can bring results. So nothing is lost at all. So the accumulated, whatever lobha arises, whatever kindness arises, accumulated and carried in each citta by way of asya, anusya, ready to condition the arising of that reality again when time is right. And as you say, when it's strong enough, the cetana arises, which has been accumulated, ready to bring its result later. So that's why at the first moment of life, all the asya, anusya are there in the citta, ready to condition the arising of whatever kusala or akusala it is, until those particular anusya have been eradicated.
Okay, I think that's clearer. And John, I found, wait, you're looking at it from what we can know now before we start analyzing conditions, to be very helpful. Although just what Sarah and I just talked about was just, well, I guess we were a step ahead of what Ajahn was suggesting, I think.
It is now, because understanding now that there must be tendencies, asya, anusya, in order for lobha to arise now, or understanding to arise at this moment. So the understanding is accumulated. It's not just one understanding or one moment of lobha. That tendency has to be accumulated and is accumulated right now. That's why we listen to the Dhammas, because understanding accumulates in this way. And I think it's enough just to know that there have to be many conditions at any moment to bring about whatever reality right now. The seeing now arises because of many conditions, because the visible object has arisen, it's impinged on the eye sense, karma from the past, and also there have to have been the accumulated tendencies in order for karma to produce just this seeing right now. But it is daily life now.
Mm-hmm.
I have a comment or a query about, and you were saying that, you know, when Jetana is strong enough to bring a result, to cause vibhaka in the future, I feel like there's something missing, like Jetana is strong enough for an action to occur, like either in speech or body, but then I thought there's also mind. So are we not missing a step in that there's Jetana is strong enough to bring a result, but how, you know, where there's an action has to be performed. Is that correct? Am I jumping ahead or confusing it? Do you know what I mean?
I know what your question means. I can't respond.
Okay.
It's a question I have.
Right. It's
So if there's just a little attachment now, like one likes what is seen, no harmful speech, no harmful deed, but if that lobha that's been accumulated enough and is strong enough that it prompts some action, like taking what doesn't belong to one, for example, there's the intention to harm another and other factors involved, then it is of a degree that it can bring results in future. Otherwise, it can just support that deed or action, but not actually produce a result on its own.
Okay, I think that's
so this
the
is
answer.
why
Yeah.
it is the accumulated lobha that is of interest. Because if it doesn't condition any harmful speech or deed, it's just clinging as usual in daily life.
Right.
And
So
you-
it's the action that is the gusala or agusala gamapata, isn't it?
It's the
deed,
intention, the chaitana that has that conditions at that moment, that conditions those rupas at that moment by bodily intimation or verbal intimation, conditions those rupas, but it's still the chaitana that is the gamma that brings the results.
Okay, thank you.
That Jetana in this particular example would not arise were there not sufficient accumulations.
Right.
to
There has
arise.
to be the
Yeah.
strong accumulation of that chaitana, of that karma, and of the other factors that associated with it, the lobha and so on.
Okay.
So
Thank
that
you.
tendency is accumulated on and on. So that's why it's not just one lobha or one karma, it's the accumulated tendency.
This
So
is
you-
like pulling apart a tangled ball of wool, isn't it? It's a good
And
question, Anne.
Sometimes we differentiate too between, for example, sama and visama lobha. So the sama lobha is the ordinary lobha, like now, or whilst eating one's lunch, but no intention to harm others, no harmful speech or deeds. But the visama lobha is the one that is the unusual or exceptional one, that is particularly strong and can bring the results.
Sarah, how is that spelt? Someone, S-A?
I think it's short A, sama, S-A-M-A,
Okay.
and have to be careful now, and visama, V-I-S-A-M-A.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Sarah, like you said, it's somewhat circular.
I said,
Yes,
if I kill somebody now, yeah, that action will produce patisandhicitta in the future, yeah. But regardless the fact that that action produce patisandhicitta, is it not true that that action will produce countless number of aksara, vipaka, chitta through the 5 doors, 5 sense doors? Can we say that?
I think Ajahn might say go back to the basics, like right now. Is there anyone who can kill? Is there anyone who can harm?
Yeah.
And can anyone be killed? So
Yeah. Okay.
before we consider all the details, let's see if Ajahn would like to add more to any of these points.
Is now karma.
There is no action kamapata now. Oh, I don't know. This is ksara kamapata.
But karma, but it's not clear. Then
Oh.
there is a question like, is it karma now?
Yeah.
What karma?
Yeah, there is chetana, but I can say that this discussion and understanding may be a kusala kamapata.
May? Oh, what about? It cannot be may. It has
Ah, yeah.
is this moment of understanding karma,
Yeah.
of understanding Dhamma.
Yes.
Is it a karma?
Yes.
To be sure, Chetana is there, and it is kusala Chetana with understanding, at moment of understanding only.
Yeah.
And who knows, while we are talking about that, how many different Chetasikas arising and falling away, unknown. So the understanding of the reality at that moment, it has to be with karma. It's wholesome karma. Can it bring this? Can it condition results of vipaka
Yes. Yes.
at moment of birth? Possible?
Yes, it's possible.
So no doubt, as long as even this is karma, what about other deeds? There must be Chetana as well, depending on whether it is wholesome or unwholesome, or vipaka or kiriya. And when is the Chetana which is vipaka? When is Chetana which is vipaka? When?
When?
When is Chetana which is vipaka?
Oh, it arises. It arises in many occasions.
I ask when.
At Patisanti, or even at experiencing vipaka chittas through the 5 sense doors.
Can we say seeing? At moment seeing, Chetana which arises with seeing is vipaka. Right?
Yes.
By the same kind, which condition seeing. See, so we understand the moment when it's there a little bit. That no. But Chetana does not appear as no self. All realities do not appear as one. But the understanding intellectually about the truth that it has to be there. As though it does not appear, who can know the no thing? That's why there are different degrees of understanding. But there must be clear understanding of what's meant by Chetana, Kusala, and Akusala. So at moment of understanding Dhamma, it's impossible to be not Chetana. It has to be Chetana, which is Kusala Kamma.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
No doubt about what condition, moment, and what kind of Chitta is there, and what Chetasiks are there. Some was born without Panya, no understanding, but some, the accumulation of understanding is that nothing can be taken away from Chitta. It has been accumulated little by little by condition. Without condition, it cannot be an asya, no siya at all. So what condition the hearing of Dhamma right now?
It's a result of past good deeds.
The past karma.
Yeah.
And what is that? Not only Chetana. At any moment of Chitta, what is there too? Each moment, not only Chetana. What is there?
Kusala chittas with Panya.
How many Chetasikas arising at moment of seeing, and then after that, see.
7.
All conditions. Can there be Vitakka Cetasika with being consciousness? We learn by word number, but the reason, see, can there be Vitakka Cetasika with seeing consciousness?
I cannot remember.
Okay, that's why we learn little by little. We don't need to remember everything, but learn to understand the truth, fact, whether it's possible or not possible, see? Because the seeing moment is different from the moments. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching is quite different from other moments. Is that right?
Yes.
That's right. The Cetasikas, which is with these 10 Cetasika, are different from the moment, which has but only 7 Cetasikas. Now, see, unknown. But Buddha thought about it. The conditions for seeing how many Cetasikas are there. Because of what? See? Because it performs a function of just seeing, no thought in it, nothing in it like attachment or anything, because it just arises by condition to see, to hear, that's all. No self who can make it rise, manage it, control it, but the enlightenment of the Buddha understand the truth of every reality as it is. It can be understood or become to be object of direct understanding too, depending on conditions. That's why there are different savaka, different accumulation by different condition. And we use the word, the name of the Pajja later. What is that? So no one, no self, and no thing, little by little. This is letting little by little only by panya, which understands. Nothing can let go. The idea of self or things. So we are talking about now, a moment ago, many realities, right? Like Dhamma, see. But what is the Dhamma? And the way it is there. Like speech is conditioned by karma as well, right? The thinking, conditioned by cetana. And at moment of thinking, what is there? Not only cetana. When lopa is there, it's unwholesome. And when it's lopa, it's wholesome. Cetana is wholesome. But lopa cannot be cetana. And lopa cannot be cetana. There are different realities. No one develop more confidence of the truth of no one until it conditions women of direct understanding of what is then now, just what reality at a time. Choice only by conditions. And this is all dhammas are anatta, no one. It has to be clear from the very beginning of no one. Otherwise, it's always I who study, who knows, who understand, who talk about this and that. But not at all gone. Complete sunyata, anatta. If one says all dhammas are sunyata, what do you think about that person, that word? See, anyone can say all dhammas are anatta. But what about panya at moment of saying out? How much understanding? When Buddha said all dhammas are anatta, what about panya there? So all depends on right understanding, how much it is of that object, of that very moment. Not just the word, but the truth is the reality. Like we're talking about Dhamma, how much understanding of that which is Dhamma. So in the day, what appears?
Yeah, many things appear, but they are always with self. Self is always present.
And that is panya, which begins to understand. It depends on how much confidence, see? But no one, even that, all Cetasikas are there, but not any Cetasika appears. only when come to be to condition such reality to be object. For example, is there attachment now?
Yeah, yeah.
But does it appear?
Not strongly.
Not as object,
Yeah.
direct, but only object of the word, which use the word loka
Yeah.
and understand the word, but not the reality. Why not? Because it does not become the object yet. Even where object now appears,
Yes.
and then understanding that it cannot be anything at all, only different color, impinge one by one at the eye sense, and that which arises and experience, and sanya, that which remembers, marks it, and then know what it is.
Yeah.
See, so very rapidly, very quickly, that no one knows, because it's not the object of experiences. Only that which impinges on the eye is there as the object. But that which remember does not be the object of experiencing yet. That's why this is the different levels of understanding.
Yeah.
As long as it's there, can it be object?
Yeah.
But depending on conditions,
Yeah.
can anyone choose?
No.
Impossible. That's the understanding of anatta. And beginning to understand, no one.
Yeah.
If I can do, conditions can, no I. Is Chetana a condition?
Yeah.
What condition?
I think it's mostly conditioned by accumulation.
No, I asked about, please, what condition is Chetana? There are many, many conditions, many kinds, but Chetana, is it a condition?
Yeah.
You know the answer. You know the answer, Jadal.
Yeah, it must be karma.
Yes, it must be. See, nothing than only that which can be kamma pacaya, Chetana. Because it's the intention to do. Without it, how can there be such deeds through body, speech, and so on? See, that's why learning a little more about what is there now and what appears and what does not appear, but it's there. If there's no understanding of sanya at that very moment, can there be the understanding of that which remember?
No.
So how can there be the beginning of understanding that it's not self, but it is sanya? Because sanya is there any moment in life, every moment.
Yeah.
So how can there be the beginning of having the understanding of sanya in a day?
Yeah.
We're
Sanya
learning
is,
from intellectual understanding that it remembers
yeah.
at some moment in life, it depends on conditions, thinking, understanding that even thinking of anything, sanya is there. Otherwise, there cannot be such thinking.
Yeah. I think sanya is one of the cetasikas which are not so difficult to understand.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
The word is not difficult.
No, Sanya's are relatively easy to understand.
See? But now at this moment, it's there.
Yeah,
And
yes, yes.
no one knows
Mm,
that it's not me who knows what is said. It's Sanya which knows.
yes, yes. Yeah, I can see that Sanya is quite powerful. It performs many tasks, kitchas. It arises all the time.
That's why it's Akhanda.
Yeah, yeah,
It's there all the time, but raw Sanya Vilasa.
yeah, 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 yeah. I can see it.
So Sanya Vipalasa is not the word, it's now at this moment.
Yes, yes.
It's something that is Sanya.
Mhm.
Before it can develop to understand that actually it's only that which is seen.
Yeah, yeah.
What one is dreaming
Mhm.
is Sanya,
Yeah.
which is remembered. But not Sanya arising seeing, see.
Mhm.
And what is Sanya at moment of dreaming?
Yeah.
What is Sanya? What Sanya is there? What kind of Sanya is there?
Sanya, which take place through the mind door.
That is it. But what is, see, how many chatis of Sanya?
Mm.
How many chatis of Sanya?
How many jati?
Chati is kusala or vipaka or kriya for chati,
Mostly,
right? Okay.
mostly aksala.
See, can it be vipaka at moment dreaming?
No, I don't think so. It's just
You are the truth.
Mostly aksala.
The thing on the thought, but it is truth, a truth, a reality, a dream. What is there?
It's thinking with Sanya.
Yeah. Sanya is there.
In a dreaming, no panya.
Sanya.
Sanya can arise.
Sanya Chetasika, which arises each moment. So at moment of dreaming, what Sanya is, what chati, what kind of Sanya?
Mostly aksala. Aksala.
Akusala. See, can it be vipaka?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? The truth.
No, because there are nothing occurs at the five senses.
So it has to be vitaka. Excuse me, akusala. You should.
Aksala.
Yeah. It can be thinking about the at that moment, what is there. See, only when it appears object, it can become a little bit.
Yeah.
So what about when it's not a dream, like now? A thinking, what is there?
Well, jati, ksala, aksala.
Right. That is my way of chati. Kusala, chati, akusala, chati, born to be, arise to be kusala, or vipaka, kusala, or kiriya.
Yeah.
So at this moment when it's not a thinking, what is sanya there? By chati.
Oh, vipaka, and then ksala, aksala.
Moment of thinking.
Ksala, aksala.
Right. By condition, usually accumulate.
Yeah.
What's more? So the vipaka cannot be the kusala or but because it is the result conditioned by a karma.
Yeah.
No matter when and where, it has to be the vipaka. No one. It has to, no matter we take it for accident or very good experience, or vipaka, the result of karma. But there is cetana as well as sahachata karma pachya. That's why learn to understand little by little of the difference of a reality, even cetana. To understand that actually there's no one and no self and no thing. Only that which is conditioned to arise goes away. In samsara, not stop. It can end up when there is the panya, little by little, to eradicate ignorance. So the end of samsara is the end of ignorance. Is there death now?
Yeah, Kanika.
Right. That is the beginning of understanding of no self. It's there. It cannot last. It's there and then gone.
Yeah.
Knowingly all the time. Until it is the object of panya.
Yeah.
One by one, little by little. So it appears well and more until it appears as nothing and no one.
Yeah. I think it's mostly the idea of self and the ignorance, which cause one not to see realities.
The world.
Yeah.
So that can be the understanding what is meant by world, a world.
Yeah.
What is arising and falling away is a world.
Yeah.
And that is panya, which understands. See, not I, no, I.
So
So
yeah.
please go.
It's a very slow process.
Certainly.
Just a moment, Ajahn, there's some interference with your microphone. The sound gets broken up. Is Kun M there? Can he help?
Kun Em ได้ยินชัดไหมคะ?
I can hear really well here.
I see
I can hear really.
Yes, but others can't. The sound quality is not very good. Zita and Anne and everyone finding the same. So maybe Kunem, you could just check it.
I'm wondering if Tadao does not turn his mic off when he's talking. Tadao, do you leave your mic on when you're talking with Ajahn?
Of course.
That's probably where the interference is coming from. No?
It's been all the way through. I think it's Ajah's end. There's some interference there. Maybe someone else has a recorder on or something.
Ajahn Cup, I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Please go.
There is a karma is sometimes classified in a 12-fold way. It's karma based on time, karma based on function, and karma based on intensity. They're the English, obviously the English translations, but I'd like you to help me a little bit with when we talk about janaka karma and upatambhika karma, etc. But what dhammas are being referred to when we say janaka karma? What is being referred to here?
Can you give a sample?
Well, I'm not too sure. Okay, I'll repeat all four of them. So you've got karma based on time, like Intl.Dhamma Vedaniya karma, like karma that will produce a result in this life, or upapajaniya, upapajawedaniya karma, which is karma which can have an effect, I believe, in the next life. And then the other one, apara vedaniya karma, which can have a result at any time during samsara. And then there's the last classification called ahosi, which means that it's literally means was karma. This means it's gone, can't bring in a result. But the next classification is based on function. So we've got janika karma, upatambika karma, which strengthens it, upapilika karma, which weakens it, and upagataka, upachedika, which can kill it off or nullify it. So I'm not quite sure, though, of janika karma. It has something to do, I believe, with rebirth, but I'm not absolutely sure on that.
Yes, shall we talk just one reality at a time, please? The first one.
Okay.
About
janika karma.
Pardon?
Oh, so you're referring to janika karma there, Tanajan?
I think that firstly you talk about time and khanda. Is that right?
No, we talk about time. Like the first one in the classification of time is Intl.Dhamma Vedaniya karma. It's a karma that can bring results in this life, and if it doesn't bring a result in this life, it won't bring a result at all.
Okay, but you see that just use a word and then understand that. First of all, when we talk about time, because you think about the time for karma to produce result, right? Whether in this life or other life. But what is time? Is there time? What is the truth of it? Is it a reality or what? See? Otherwise, we talk about many, many things and don't know what is it, like time, past, present, future. But what about time? What is it? If there's nothing at all, can there be time?
No, there has to be dhammas for there to be time.
That's right. Only when there is a reality arising and then falling away, we understand the moment or the time of that which arises, right? And then when we talk about ditthi, karma, which produce result in this life, who knows about karma? Because it's said in the Tipitaka that which is covered up is the karma and the result of karma. See, for example, at this moment of seeing, who knows what karma, whether it is in this life or past life or years karma ago, can still condition any moment in what we say, this life or other life. But it's only the arising and falling away of realities. And when it's not in this life that we were born to be this personality, we think that this is present. But actually, the present is the arising, and then the past is the moment when it falls away. No matter in what life in samsara, we think about birth and death, just the sammutisatya. But actually, each moment which arises and falls away is past when it's gone, it's present when it's still there, and the future which hasn't yet, but it's there after this moment has gone. See, only this. So when we use the word Titakama or result in Pali, that which produced vipaka in this life, we don't know, even seeing right now, whether it is the result of what karma in this life or other life at all. And what would be next life? Who knows which karma will produce it, to condition it when time comes, only when it's ready, ripened, ready to condition such moment to be seeing or hearing or birth or death. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Ajahn. And Sarah, just getting back to your point about samma and wisama, yeah, that's totally fine, so I see it. But I don't know where you came across that, because Wisama, yes, means wicked or vicious or quite nasty, but the word sama usually refers to something that's just even. That may be a commentarial explanation, but I don't know where it came from. Can you elaborate further on that?
So sama, even, it just means ordinary, not out of the usual. So when it's like loba now in daily life, it's just sama loba. It's not anything special. It's not anything that is extraordinary and of a degree that will bring results. So it's just accumulated. Whereas the visama loba is the one that is not ordinary, not even out of the ordinary or exceptional. So it's the one that is strong enough that it can condition stealing or taking life and so on. So this is the one that is of a degree of kamapata that can bring results. I think a long time ago, Ajahn talked about them, and I think I came across them in the Visuddhimagga. I remember in the Visuddhimagga reading about them. I think I've read them about them in the text. Sama and Visama.
Yeah. Okay.
It just helps to differentiate between the common ordinary loba that people are so afraid of, but it's just the ordinary accumulated tendency, but it's not of a degree that harms others and can bring those results.
What about?
Yeah, okay, thanks. It's interesting. Sorry, John, please keep going. Continue, please, John, continue.
Yeah. What about lopa after seeing? Is it sama or visama? After seeing
It would
that,
be sama.
Dhamma
Some.
and Avijjasava, is it sama, lopa, sama or visama?
It would be sama, John.
Right. Until it appears different from usual, then it's visama. And more until condition karma.
Yeah, until it gets the momentum to become very strong, and that's what lopa does. As we've spoken about this morning, it accumulates little by little.
And I have something I wanted to say to Sukin. I don't know if I wrote a message to you on DSG, but you may not have seen it, because the other day when we were talking about kukucha, and I'd said a couple of weeks ago that as I recollected, it's eradicated at the stage of Sotapanna, and you were saying that it's a stage of Anagami, but there's actually a difference in the text. So in the Atasalani, I checked again, and it says that kukucha is eradicated along with Vichikicha at Sotapati Magga. But in the Visuddhimagga, it mentions at the stage of Anagami. So which text were you looking at?
I think it wasn't me, it was Haji.
Haji, okay, because he was very adamant, but one has to kind of look and consider, because sometimes one just repeats what one's heard. But in the Atasalani, it says it's a stage of Sotapanna. And I looked at the Tika to the Visuddhimagga, and it kind of discussed the difference and comment. It's very unusual to find a difference between the Atasalani and the Visuddhimagga. This is looking at the Pali, not the translation. And Ajahn may have a comment afterwards, but anyway, does it matter? It appears now, and definitely the kukucha with the idea of motivated with the idea of what I did wrong, definitely eradicated at the stage of Sotapanna. And also, I won't read it all out, but in the Atasalani, they have a lot of examples about kukucha, like for the monk, the worry about if one's eaten at the wrong time, whether or not one has eaten at the wrong time, or if the flesh is not the suitable one to eat. And they give a lot of examples like this. So there can be regret about what one's eaten, even if what one ate was totally appropriate, or worry about eating at the wrong time, even if one ate at the right time. So anyway, it's just the approach of the mind towards what is done and undone, the reproach, the thinking and the worrying about what was faulty and wasn't faulty, and it talks about the distinction between this kind of worry and regret about what has been done and the reflection by an arahat like Sariputta who may reflect but on the unwholesomeness that's been performed or the wholesomeness that hasn't been performed, but not with any of the worry and regret like now. But it's quite wide, many different examples. So I just wanted to mention that. John, do you have any thought about why there would be this difference in the Attasala and in the Visuddhimagga, because it's so unusual as to when kukucha is eradicated?
Yeah. What about different degree and aspects?
It must be, I think, that when it mentions about eradicated by the Sotapanna, it must be referring to the degree that is motivated by wrong view in some way, or by the idea of self, like so commonly when there's the idea of what I didn't do or what I should have done. It's all about me and my regret, and but maybe some fine remnants without the wrong idea of self. Is this what you're referring to?
If someone would say, I should have done, see, what about the feeling and the understanding of that? The word is exactly the same, but the reality is different.
Right. So it's,
Yes,
yes, it's not the words, but the degree of misunderstanding.
I would like to add a little bit to the discussion on the Tao's last question about whether results in this life are due to the same karma that caused was conditioned for the rebirth. There's a term, ayuhana karma, which I think roughly means collection of karma, which seems to refer to all the karma that is going to bring result in a given lifetime. So that, of course, would include the karma that conditions the rebirth, but also other karma from the past that will bring result in a given lifetime. So I think it's not possible to be more specific than that.
Thank you.
Ayuhana is also the word that's used for accumulations. When we refer to accumulations, we're referring to ayuhana.
And I think that relates to Anne's first question. So it's all the accumulation, all the asya, anusya that are there in that chitta, first moment of life, that all the karmas have been conditioned, are there as ayuhana, ready to bring results during life.
Jonathan, is this to say that the ayuhana karma at each moment of nanakanika kamapachaya, the ayuhana karma is also arising? Can't hear.
Thanks. The ayuhana karma doesn't arise as such. It just refers to all that karma that may possibly bring a result in the current lifetime.
Okay, thank you.
Because obviously, if rebirth is conditioned, for example, by wholesome karma in the past, there will also be akusala vipaka in that lifetime. So there's got to be a mixture of the different kinds of karma. But and it's, as I understand it, it's not just the karma that conditions the rebirth that brings result in the present lifetime. It's other karma as well, including that karma.
Right, and all of the other karma that has been accumulated prior to rebirth through eons, that will be accumulated with the asaya nusaya as well. Is that right?
Yes, it's all past realities, karma, all past instances of cetana are accumulated. That's right.
So when you talk about the ayuhana, is that a reference to separating out those kammas, those cetana, which are likely to bring a result in that time?
I think
In that life, sorry.
referring to, yes, all the karma that can bring result during that lifetime.
So that means there's karma that can't bring result in that lifetime or won't bring that. Okay.
And also, Anne, these areas are very, very complex. It's called Intl.Dhamma. This is some of these questions are very knotty and are really in the realm of the Buddha, but nonetheless, I appreciate you asking them. But they are sometimes very complex, and in many cases, speakers have. Yeah, okay, I'll leave it at that. Give me a bit of feedback here.
All right, I'm not feeling like I need to know any more than that. It was just curiosity.
I remember we discussed this at one session in Vietnam, and I had this visual picture of a big backpack, and we're carrying around the ayuhana every lifetime. You get a new backpack with all the stuff in the back, and that's all. It's my imagination. How do I put things into pictures? It's a backpack for me.
Well, yes, a backpack full of what can spill out during that life, depending on conditions. Yeah.
Exactly.
But Azita, I think it's to be on the safe side. It's better to take the example of being born in hell. That's where it's not going to happen that the result of kusala karma is going to arise. So in that lifetime, the result of akusala karma is going to arise. So no need to think about which, what, how many, but I think that's the meaning, that that's an example of what the karmas that will bring a result in that particular life. So in hell, no result of kusala karma. In the highest heavens, no result of akusala karma. I mean, or there may be, but little compared.
Or maybe in the hell realm, it's a dirty little backpack, and in the heavenly realm, it's a nice clean one.
I think you made a good point there, Sukhi, because it's going to depend upon conditions, and obviously, as you said, go to one of the Awichi, one of the darker hells, because there are many different types of hells apparently, where it's just constant, unmitigated bodily pain. Therefore, there wouldn't be any conditions for kusala vipaka. I believe one time, just as a slight aside, Mahamoggallana visited the hell worlds, and for a temporary moment, he stopped that pain. I don't know how, but it sounds weird. It may sound weird in terms of Dhamma, but for a moment, those beings received, or there was some moments of not such intense pain, shall we say, or we don't know what, but he did for a moment. Yeah, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
moment kusala vipaka amongst all the akusala vipaka and akusala chitta.
Yeah, that's right. It was just very momentary. I don't know why he visited them, but anyway, he did apparently. He one time visited the Deva, well, many times he did visit the Devaloka, and he chastised Sakya, who had he followed one time. Mahamoggallana followed Sakya, who had been on Jambudipa or planet Earth, whatever you like to call it, and he listened to what the Buddha had said to Sakya, and he wondered if Sakya would take up the admonition that the Buddha had passed on to him. And when Sakya, apparently a Sotapanna, went back to Tawatingsa, he noted that he was enjoying himself and sporting himself in that world, and he spoke to him about how come you didn't follow the word.
Sundara, your mic is off.
Yeah, I know. I just switched it off. I didn't think I really needed to continue on with that. But I think I made my point. That's all. That sometimes Mahamoggallana, he visited the hell worlds, and sometimes he visited the heaven worlds. And his superpower was second only to the Buddha. It was even stronger than Sariputta, his psychic power. And sometimes the Buddha waited upon Mahamoggallana to speak, because then he was able to verify what the Buddha had seen also. The Buddha did not say sometimes he'd seen certain things because he wondered if people would believe him, and not to believe the Buddha is not particularly smart. But sometimes when Mahamoggallana had seen it and he spoke to the Buddha about it, and he said, I have seen that also. I've seen that praetor also, who spoke viciously and nastily, and he was traveling about the world in this horrible way.
Janice, we just have a little bit of time left. I just want to clarify a point from Saturday in a discussion with Sukin. Sukin, we've talked so much about Kanti, talking about Kanti as parami and as being, you've talked so much about it as being Virya Cetasika and particular degrees and aspects of Virya Cetasika. And on Saturday, Sukin and Haji were reading out a quote, which I assume was from you and not from a text, which was stressing that the most important Cetasika was Adosa, and Sukin.
Just to correct, it wasn't from Achan. I think the talk that I listened to, which Haji gave to me to listen to, was from Kunpadam.
Okay, so not Ajahn, because when Ajahn has talked about Kanti, of course Adosa has to be there because it arises with every Kusala Chitta, but it's always been the aspect of Virya that is referred to. So when you were saying that you thought that Adosa was the main factor, I just wondered where this had come from. Anyway, it is the reality itself to be known, and Adosa has to be there, but I think Virya is the main factor when talking about Kanti. Do you have any comment on this, Ajahn? Because it's the sort of thing that can lead to misunderstandings.
Can there be Kanti with Virya? Can there be khanti without viriya?
No, Achan.
That's why when it's just common, very short viriya, like eating, cooking, and so on, is it khanti? It's so easy to do
No.
it in short time. It's not khanti, right? But when it has to take quite a long, long time, for example, to understand the word of the teachings, to understand the reality right now, is it short or long time? Very easy or very difficult? So the one who does not have the chanda to understand the truth will not have khanti to listen, to develop understanding. Just to apply that it's not like easy viriya at all. When it's so easy, do we have to use khanti? Do we have to use the word khanti? Or just even viriya is not known. It's there very simple, very easily, see. But when we talk about the nature of that, which pain, do something, see, with chanda, with indriya, and with itipata, see, that is khanti to develop. So we just talk about the degree and the manners of viriya, that's all. Because actually there's no khanti cetasika, there is only viriya cetasika. But to show the difference between the degree and how difficult it is, but chanda is there and other cetasikas are there with viriya, like samma vayamo of the Eightfold Path. Is it now or not yet? Does it take time with chanda to approach to that level, to understand the truth as we have heard like now? So it's just different degrees, different aspects of viriya, that's all. And without viriya, there cannot be khanti. That's why viriya is there as well as viriya parami, and khanti makes it more difficult. It takes quite a long, long time. Not just only viriya of very easy, simple degree.
So,
Otherwise, can anyone find another cetasika which is khanti?
Probably, John, could we say all those sobhana cetasikas that accompany the chitta at that moment of kusala khanti would be strong supporting factors. You know, we think of all those pagunyata, lahuta, mudita, etc. You know, by way of chitta and body, or the cetasikas. So they would no doubt be all supporting factors also.
Many people in the Buddha's time or before that can attain the samatha degree of jhana, but did they all attain enlightenment? See, which is more difficult. Even
because we know that Devadatta had attained to arupa jhana. So, but obviously he had not attained to sotapatti magga. So therefore, you know, we can see that somebody can still have a tremendous amount of akusala, even though they've attained to jhana.
And it can be any moment. When lopa is there so strong, is there khanti not to make it overwhelm without understanding? See, before there can be understanding of it as not self, it takes how long time? And so it's not just ordinary viriya, which arises with how many chittas, but that is with itipada, with other indriya and so on. That's why it is khanti parami.
so Sarah, I think what Achan is saying is that although it's kusala and there's a dosa, when it's weak, then it's not kanti. When it's strong, it's kanti, and that shows that it is the function of virya.
When the virya is weak at that time, then, for example, if one listens but the virya is weak, the kusala virya is weak, then no patience to really listen and consider. So only when that virya, that kusala virya is strong, can it be referred to as kanti. It's actually quite obvious, even talking about akusala patients, like when cooking, if there's not much virya, not much patience, then no patience to take time to do things properly. And it's the same with understanding. So whether the virya is strong enough to be patient, like in the midst of all the lobha, for example. So that's why the main factor is virya. It's why it's virya cetasika. So when you said that you thought the main cetasika was, you and your son both said that you thought adosa was the main factor, and you disagreed that it was, or he wrote and told me he disagreed that it was virya. I wondered what your source was, or what it was you were reading.
No, I think I understand where the question arose. I think because when you use the word patience with reference to akusala, a virya, then what he objects is because the word kanti should not apply to akusala. It should be only kusala. Hence, all that.
Well, there were 2 points. One point is that the objection, and you were saying the same as him, was that to virya, when talking about kanti, and both of you were saying that you thought adosa was more important than virya. That was one point. And the other point was the use of kanti. So when we're talking about kusala and akusala patients, like in daily life, when there's akusala virya, when queuing to buy ice cream, for example, then this is not kanti. It's not kanti parami that's being referred to, but it's showing that patience can be kusala or akusala. So that's why one has to consider it quite carefully. Most of the day, what we call patience, what we think of as patience, is akusala virya, not kusala virya. So not kanti parami at all.
And when it's without right understanding, it cannot be parami. So is it now? And when reality appears beyond word, because it's just only once in samsara and it's there, no matter how much you explain for the other to understand, it's impossible. Only that which experiences understands. At moment of experiencing too.
And I think it's an important point to be distinguishing between kusala and akusala patience, because otherwise most of the patience in daily life is taken for wholesome patience, when actually it's unwholesome patience.
Without panya, it cannot be kanti parami. The laborer, the worker in the sun, see, kanti, not parami. And when there is lopa dosa, it's not kanti. It is viriya, akusala.
I appreciated, Tanajan, the incredible subtleness and the detail and the precision that you bring to the Dhamma for us all. It's just absolutely marvelous. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sawadee ka. Thank you.
Sawadee ka.